We've actually just made the big decision to come off of Amazon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we've recently started to do what is called multi-leg shipping to reduce the costs for our customers. We also just reduced our free shipping to $50. By the time this airs, I'm hoping that it will be full because it's a process, but we've actually just made the big decision to come off of Amazon. Amazon does not align with our values, like in any sense or form. And at one point I felt it very necessary to be there, but we've realized and just accepted that our values don't align and I need to make that separation. So we want people to have that full experience by coming to our website, to visit our local stores so that we can interact with you directly. If there's something that you love, you can tell us directly. If there's something that you don't love, tell us directly and we can help fix that. So there is that piece of it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Purpose, the podcast where purpose and profit live together in harmony as we grow these amazing e-commerce businesses. And I'm here with Vanessa Marshall. She is the founder of Jack59. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
Hi, Katie. I'm awesome. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, we are so happy to have you. We're so excited. I'm looking forward to being in your neck of the woods now that I'm moving out to Edmonton. And by the time this podcast hits, I think I'll probably be there. So this is all very, very exciting. Well, how about you tell the listeners about yourself, who is Vanessa Marshall, and what was the journey that led you to running a sustainable e-commerce brand?
Yeah, so my name is Vanessa Marshall. I created Jack59. So Jack59 is a sustainable hair care brand. So we create products like shampoo and conditioner bars that are absolutely fabulous. When I was starting the company, I was working a 9 to 5 and wasn't loving my life. My kid was in daycare and I really just kind of wanted to change the direction of our whole lives as a family. So I was kind of diving into the world of cosmetics. I had been in university for a long time and I had all this chemistry background. I was actually going into the dental program and decided that that really wasn't a commitment that I was wanting to fulfill. All of my family are entrepreneurs. The spirit is in me. So I really wanted to create something that I could stay at home more, be with my daughter. Also this kind of hippie kid. My mom's indigenous, but my dad's still a hippie guy. So composting and like creating products that were in line with the earth, clean ingredients, things that people could really get behind. So this was kind of a journey that I started through other products, lotions and bath bombs. And there wasn't really that product that I was, finding passion in. And we went on a vacation and I actually purchased a shampoo bar from another company that had been making them. And the product was not great. I had really long hair at the time and my hair felt horrible. I had to go buy some traditional bottled shampoo and kind of do a reset. And I was sitting on the beach with my phone and I started to do this research. I was like, why? Like this product is so innovative and it's such a great opportunity to take a bunch of plastic out of the cosmetic world. And it really hit me fast. The research, it didn't take long. And I realized, people weren't focusing on the ingredients, the gentleness of an ingredient. Because shampoo bars are so concentrated, your ingredients need to be a little bit more gentle. Also the pH, most of the bars that were on the market was very high. So it was kind of like using all natural soap in your hair. So I was like, man, I have the goods that need to be into a product that people can really fall in love with. So the journey kind of started there. I was in my home at the time and we quickly grew out of that into my basement. Within a couple of months, we were out of the basement. And one of the coolest things along this journey was, and I, because I think sustainably, like it's just inherent in me. I can't change that. We were looking for a warehouse and we were like, oh, we're going to have all this greenhouse gas emissions. We're going to have this great big warehouse that we really can't utilize fully yet. So I actually partnered with another local brand who sustainability was very high on their radar as well. So we actually teamed up and we actually shared a warehouse. So it's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give new entrepreneurs coming into, into their own and really starting to grow a business, but not having quite the resources and needing that full space, and team up with a local partner. And it was incredible. Being an entrepreneur is a little bit lonely sometimes, like having the same ambitions and goals and wanting to go in the same direction. And I had partners right beside me the whole time. So we shared an office and we were bouncing things off of each other. And it really was the most incredible way to start a business. You had that partnership, that teamwork, and it really helped us align with our values. So yeah, we grew from there. Our team grew, our clients grew. We're now in about 500 stores across Canada, which is super exciting. Yeah, it's been, it sounds like we are always like, we see the highlights and the successes, but there's been a lot of struggles in that as well. 2025 in particular was a very challenging year for a lot of brands. And, what's happening in the US, we actually had to cut off our sales to the US, and it wasn't by choice. The journey has been long and good and bad. I think that's the journey of an entrepreneur, is kind of like riding a roller coaster. So, but I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for some new things to come out this year. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at this point.
I love it. Well, thanks for that story. And, it's amazing to hear, thinking about plastic, but also thinking about the delivery of this product and just formulating something that was just so much better than what was out on the market. And that's obviously, such a great way to start a business. You're thinking about the Band-Aid rather than the vitamin right off the bat. And so starting a physical product business, we know, is no small feat. So what are some of the very first decisions that you had to make? So whether it's formulation or sourcing, branding, that really shaped the direction of this company?
So we're just celebrated 10 years in June. So we're coming up to our 11th year. And really, yeah. So in the beginning, we kind of blew up through COVID. And one of the things that happened to us was we actually didn't have any packaging at all up until that point, which was incredible because that's literally zero waste. You deliver the product as it is, they use it, and there's nothing left. However, through COVID, we actually had to do a huge pivot and create some packaging. So along with that packaging came a whole branding endeavor that we had to embark on, which was actually quite beneficial. We are still able to offer either paper packaging, which also led us to meet an engineer who created some fully compostable containers for us. So we have a shower container, and we also have a little weekend edition, which is kind of like a little mini shampoo and a little mini conditioner. And they look plastic, but they are absolutely 100% home compostable resin, which we've gotten some flack online with people disbelieving that this is actually available on the market. So there is some education around what we're doing and the processes that we're going through, but that was absolutely paramount in creating kind of this picture out in the world of what and who Jack59 is.
Wow, that is incredible. Talk to me a little bit about this non-packaging era. This is more selfish because it's like, I can't imagine a world where you're not like sharing the ingredients and following all these, rules, but how did you work around that? And because that is the dream, right? To not have to create anything extra.
It's true, right? And there are guidelines in Canada as to what you have to label on a product and, the weight, ingredients, a little bit about how to use it, the precautions, things like that. But if you actually sell a product that has zero packaging, you can tell people to go to a website to find all of that information, and then you list it all on the website. So initially, this is what we did. However, once you started getting into stores, it became a little more challenging because people want to find that information firsthand right there. There's apps like Yuka now that people are scanning the barcode to see how clean the ingredients are, which I love. I think that's a great thing. We also have challenges with that. I mean, we try to be as clean as we can. But there's some things that our customers want. And one of those things that we kind of pivoted on after we did all this rebranding was a lot of our customers want a stronger scent. So I was very torn because I have a really hard time with strong scents. So we've kind of compromised in this middle ground where we do offer a very small selection of synthetic fragrances. So we make sure that these fragrances still meet all of our standards. So phthalate free, silicone free, paraben free, all of the nasty things that you don't want, we make sure that you're still not getting those. And I think there's a bit of misconception still around fragrances. Don't get me wrong, you still be very wary of what a fragrance is. But there are a lot of companies that are very aware of the stigma around fragrances and are developing new products that are cleaner, but still deliver the scent and stuff. I wish we could still offer zero packaging, and actually we do in some cases. So if you're in Edmonton, it's way easier if you're local. So if you're in Edmonton, you can come by and just say, hey, I would prefer to have zero packaging, and we'll just go back to the, in the back of our warehouse, and we'll just bring you out a little beauty that you can just love. And we had the best time with it at our local markets. People would bring like little Tupperware container or just a piece of cloth and they'd wrap them up. I just love that so much. So unfortunately, it is a little more challenging to do that. And the other thing that I tell people is we are so accessible. Even myself, my phone number is on just about everything that we produce, which, isn't that wild? People are like, oh no, you need to not do that. But I mean, surprisingly, I know it's very true. But I surprisingly get very few calls or emails. I mean, maybe somebody's having an issue on the website. I love to be the first person that they talk to because I can give them an answer directly. So if you're, like, I'm going to have an order shipped and I prefer it to be no boxes, we'll wrap them in craft paper that you can reuse. So it gives things an extra life. And we're here to accommodate. And we really want people to have that unique, special experience when they work with Jack59. So although we, don't have the zero packaging anymore, it can still be accessible. We can minimize as much as we can. We have other products that now, like our leave-in conditioners, we sell those in aluminum bottles, but the aluminum can be recycled. And if you're local, we'll give you a discount to actually refill that bottle. And along with that, we've started working with a lot of refilleries so that you can bring your bottle and refill it with them. So you're not using extra packaging and whatnot. So we're flexible and we're doing our best and we're always open to suggestions. And we love the input of the community. So if there's a suggestion that somebody seeing this has on how we can reduce our impact even more, we love to hear it. And I'll just mention that kind of ties into us being a certified B Corp. So if anybody is familiar with it or isn't, it means being a B Corp is the hardest certification that you can get in the world. We had to actually change our incorporation documents to say that we put people and the planet ahead of every decision that we make. So that means that we want to be the best that we can be. And if you have something to offer us that can help us do that, we welcome that wholeheartedly.
I have so many questions just from that answer. I was going to go into your growth milestones, but before we do that, I really want to, let's unpack this, this experience piece that you're talking about, this unique Jack59 experience and talking with your community. So how does that look like? How do you build community? How do you build that, cohort of raving fans to keep coming back? And what does that Jack59 unique experience look like so that when people are thinking about how they build that brand experience, how can they look to you guys as an example?
Oh, I love that. That's a very dynamic question. There's a lot of pieces to that. So I'm going to try to keep my mind focused onto answering all of those pieces. So the very first piece of that is making sure that our products are the highest quality ingredient, the cleanest that we can make them. Because performance is the very first thing that we want to make sure that we nail that at 100%. Once you get all of the clean ingredients, it's the deliverables. How are we delivering that? We have a lot of issues with shipping in Canada. Canada has not a wonderful system always. So we've worked with a number of different platforms to really maximize the speed, the efficiency, and also at the same time picking systems that have the lowest greenhouse gas emissions. We don't always have full control over that, but we're doing our best. So we've recently started to do what is called multi-leg shipping to reduce the costs for our customers. We also just reduced our free shipping to $50. By the time this airs, I'm hoping that it will be full because it's a process. But we've actually this made the big decision to come off of Amazon. Yes. So Amazon does not align with our values, like in any sense or form. And at one point, I felt it very necessary to be there, but we've realized and just accepted that our values don't align and I need to make that separation. So we want people to have that full experience by coming to our website, to visit our local stores so that we can interact with you directly. If there's something that you love, you can tell us directly. If there's something that you don't love, tell us directly and we can help fix that. So there is that piece of it. The other piece is growing the community because we are an indigenous brand. There are some values and some ethics that lay, I guess I'm going to say like heavily with me because they're super important to me. I go back to this thing the Anishinaabe call the 7 grandfather teachings. I'm going to remember them. Honesty, bravery, humility, wisdom, truth, respect, and love. Those pieces you are going to get from Jack59. Absolutely. And if we miss the mark, we are going to openly admit that and do better because we're not perfect 100%. But that community, I think we're building around those values and also just doing better for people and the planet and really sticking to those values. That's not easy. If I was just simply chasing the money, we would be a lot bigger and we'd be making a lot more money, which we're doing fine. We're not suffering. We're not struggling. We're doing absolutely fine. So then there's another piece of the community, which is our internal community, our culture, the vibe, how we deal with our employees, what we're doing internally. How are we making sure that those little beauties that end up on your door have had good intention and love and all of the stuff we give our staff, flexible work hours, health benefits, living wages. We just want to make sure that the community that we're building starts internally and that love and respect and those values go outwards. So I would like to think that, people will get behind us because we are trying to make a difference in the world, and that is super important to me. We do a lot of education when we go to markets and talking to people. I'm not here to try to force you to change your views but there is something that hurts me sometimes when we go to a market and we'll be talking about what we do and why we do it. And, somebody will say, well, I just buy this gigantic bottle at Costco because it's like whatever, $5 and, right. And I'm like, oh, but look at where it came from. Look at the plastic that's being left over. Like your consumer dollars speak volumes. And I just want people to just stand behind something, and I feel like shampoo is easy change, because the quality of what we sell is so incredible. You don't have to compromise anything, right? You're actually just getting rid of some plastic. And one of the things that people don't look at often is the water that's transported all over the world. Right? Like that has huge greenhouse gas emissions. We're just putting water all over the place. Just get rid of that water. And if we have to transport it, it's just the straight concentrated goods. So building all of these things, I think there's the internal community, external community. I don't know if I missed anything.
No, I think that's perfect. I love that. I love that answer. It's nice to hear, that people get behind you for not just who you are as a business. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but they're also just like huge fans of the product that you make and what you're doing. And it's kind of like a combination of both, where people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves rather than being like, I can't imagine this Costco brand of shampoo is like gathering raving fans who want to follow them and be a part of like their journey. And that's a big piece to, and I think nowadays community is an even bigger piece to like, not winning. I don't think that there's necessarily winners and losers in this space, but like getting ahead and being a better business for sure. I like what you said about the plastics piece again. And, I have a friend who couldn't really, frankly, care less about the environment, if I'm being honest. But they care a lot about microplastics. They care a lot about getting cancer. They care a lot about what they're putting on their body and what's going into their mouths when they eat food. There might not necessarily be people who want to get a shampoo bar because it means less plastic in the environment, but it means that they're putting better things. Like this stuff goes directly into our bloodstream. You should really care about what you're putting on your hair and on your body.
It's true. And I'm glad that you mentioned like cancer and the microplastics. And I'm shocked that not a lot more people put those two together, right? It's like, how do you eliminate all these microplastics and unclean ingredients if you're not, consciously making an effort to make a change somewhere? And again, I'm going to go back to that, like shampoo is such an easy change. It's just a small little thing in your shower. But to date, we've helped eliminate, and this number is from probably almost a year ago, over 1 million plastic bottles from entering the environment. You get to be a part of that. I think sometimes people get disheartened and they're like, oh, really? Nothing I'm doing is making a difference. I just see all this world issues still, and it feels so insurmountable. But you are a part of something. And if you've ever even purchased from us once, you're a part of that number. And that's incredible. Like 1 million plastic bottles. Think of that in a big, gigantic pile. Like that is wild, right? And we're doing things. We're doing good things. I'm like genuinely proud of that we get to make a difference. It's amazing.
I want to share something that I'm building alongside this podcast. It's a community for purpose-driven, product-based founders who don't want to build alone and who want to grow smarter, not just harder. After years of supporting founders at Shopify, I kept seeing the same thing: mission-led entrepreneurs doing meaningful work, but lacking a peer space that helps them move faster and make better decisions without compromising their values. This community is designed to be a growth accelerator, a place to learn what's working, pressure test ideas, share real tactics, and build momentum together so growth feels intentional, supportive, and sustainable. If you're interested, join the waitlist. Find the link in the show notes below. I love this. Talking to you. I mean, half of this podcast, I haven't even looked at my questions. This is just like flowing so easily. I love it. I love it. Now I need to go back to my script. Okay, so your product offering has evolved over time. So how do you decide when it's time to introduce something new versus refining what already exists? And so, thinking specifically about what you offer, like you offer hair care in a bar. And so that can be tough to like differentiate, or find new products. So what does that all look like?
Yeah, it is maybe tougher for us than some other brands. We have competitors who we were sort of like on the same path. We sort of had similar products, and they've just gone off and like now they have all these plastic products. They've even started making a lot of them. Well, not a lot of them. I shouldn't say that. I've seen a couple of brands that have even launched liquid shampoo. Some of those brands are local. Some of them are not so local. The one that I'm thinking of in particular has gotten to this. They're huge. They're bigger than we are, but they've kind of done it off of the back of everything that we're against. So it does make it a little more challenging for us to keep up that innovation, and people are looking for new and different and better. So what we've tried to do is, first of all, we have definitely eliminated some ingredients that we had previously. I wouldn't say like ever in the history of our products, any ingredient that has been in there, I was comfortable putting that on myself or my children. The app that I talk about, Yuka or ECG, I believe, there's apps and information sites that are out there that can be actually quite misleading. they don't have the deep research, and they're just maybe flagging an ingredient and people see it and they don't understand why, or they don't look into the actual details of why that ingredient is listed. So we had a lot of people saying like, oh, you have this ingredient and I prefer not to have that ingredient. Although I know the research and health wise, the risks are not what people think they are. We've just eliminated them to make people feel better. And that's doable. It wasn't something that was compromising anything on our end. It just kind of clarifies sort of mid-interpretation. So nothing has to be interpreted. So we've done a lot of that. We've struggled a little bit in the last couple of years with growth and limiting, like keeping our team quite small. We've brought on some agencies and have spent hundreds of $1,000s and been really misdirected. Very predatory things that, you get into a relationship and you think it's good and they have the right intentions, and then you're just spending these thousands of dollars and you're not getting the results that you want because they don't have the same values. So we kind of, it was hard. It was absolutely hard for a couple of years. But now, this year in particular, we didn't launch anything new because it's very expensive to launch something new. We really got our feet back on the ground as to where we wanted to be, the standards and the level that we wanted to be. So this year, I have my big girl pants on now. Yeah, it's, I've said this before, but I feel like a business is a little bit like a child growing up. When you see a little child like 3 or 4, they got the crazy pigtails and they're saying whatever, they're doing all the dances and they're not shy and they're not embarrassed and they're just being who they're being. And then they get into school and they become a teenager and they're shy and they don't want to stand out and they're kind of just doing what everybody tells them to do, right? And then in particular, as a woman, you get to be an adult and you find your voice. So I kind of equate that to our business. We're at that 10-year mark and I'm finally taking my voice back and we're doing what I intentionally wanted to do, and I'm trusting myself and I'm really diving into. So yeah, part of that was coming off of Amazon. We have some really cool products that we're launching. We just launched a limited edition bar, which has some biotin in it. It smells like satsuma. It's incredible. So we are going to have some more innovation coming out this year, and I'm pretty excited about it. We're doing some redesigning of some things. So I'm going to show you a package. This is not our packaging, but this is what it's going to look like. So we have shower steamers in here. So it's still a very eco-friendly packaging, but we've really been able to sell our shower steamers to wholesale people, like other stores, because we don't have any packaging. We literally sell them as they are. It was a little bit challenging. So we're revamping a bunch of packaging. You see our new hoodies?
Powerful, yes. Powerful, proven, remarkable. I need one.
So we're going to stand behind that this year. So our designs are going to change a little bit. We have some new colors and some new fun stuff coming behind that. So yeah, I'm always going to say innovation for us has been a bit of a struggle, but not that we don't have the ideas. I've formulated hundreds of products that we've never actually taken to market because we can't do it as sustainably as we'd like to.
Right.
So we are going to stretch out into the hairstyling products, but that probably is going to take us into next year. Yeah, it's a slow process. We have to test things and make sure that they're stable, 6 months to a year, some of them up to 2 years. So, but we're working on it. And now that I have this new found trust in myself, because that, I'm just going to say it. It's sometimes, as CEOs of these companies, I think people have this idea that you just have all the answers and you're just going in this direction and everything is smooth, but it's not always smooth. We have our struggles and hurdles, but yeah, we're going to have some great things coming out. So I'm super excited about that.
I love it. Okay. Wow. I have so many questions again. Like, this is just so fantastic. I'm going to put a pin in the product innovation piece because I want to dig into this trust. How did you go from being that shy teenager of a business and maybe even a CEO to being like, no, this is what I want. This is who I am. Like, were there groups? Were there other founders? Like, how did you get to that point and that mindset?
a big piece of it is really learning by failure. I have a hard time because to me, like a failure feels like a failure still. As you know, people are like, oh, you learned so much. But I always feel like you take one step forward and two steps back. But that's a huge piece of learning and growing. I actually don't have any business background. So all of the business that I've done in these last 11 years are literally self-taught. I kind of struggle with the self-taught because it's not like I did it all by myself. Absolutely. There's a community behind that. I have a community of other Indigenous women entrepreneurs that have been incredibly important in my journey. To name a few, Jen from Cheekbone Beauty, Mallory from Indigenous Box, Lee from Squallow Botanicals, Shawnee Gwynn, Felicia. We actually just also started a podcast. So it's called Settle Down. And we talk about Indigenous entrepreneurship, and not only just Indigenous, but like it's for everybody, but our experience in particular, that community, absolutely. I think just women in general, I'm also a part of some other groups, Corliss. Corliss is a women's global group. You get to vent and learn from other women. There's resources and webinars. So a lot of that growth has been me realizing that I knew what I wanted all along, but I kind of allowed influences and competitors and just the whole outside world to really influence me because I was scared. And I feel like, oh, I don't have the business background, so I should be listening to this person. When in the end, my true gut feeling was really where we wanted to be anyways. I get a little bit sad about it sometimes too, like, oh, imagine where I would have been if I just listened to myself. I think that's probably growth for all CEOs. Like, I don't think I'm unique in that, but yeah, there's mixed emotions around that, like even just admitting that I never trusted myself and I was allowing somebody else to do that, that I'm going to go to therapy now. No, just kidding. No, it's good. It's
therapy.
Good. It's disheartening sometimes. And then, but also on the other hand, I had this huge awakening through December of 2025. We're going through our year end and our numbers were a little bit lower than last year. And like, why is this happening? We're tighter as a group. And I think our supporters are really behind us. But it really came to this like, okay, we're coming into the new year. I'm not really about resolutions and like, oh, we're going to change all this stuff. It was just sort of this awakening that we need to take the power back. And by taking the power back, we have this new revitalized energy and direction. I also have a really good mentor, Sarah Simmons. She really made me see like, no, you need to trust your gut. Like this stuff is fabulous. Let's create an actual plan. So for the very first time this year, we have a full campaign plan worked out for the whole year. We've never accomplished that before. We're ready. We're sort of flying by the seat of our pants.
It's music to my ears.
Like, are we going to launch something? And then it doesn't happen. And like, we'll move it off. And, we got these markets. Let's sign up for all these markets. And it's been a little bit chaotic. So to really buckle down and have this plan, oh, it's just so liberating. I don't know. It's really cool. So 2026, and it's just cruising. The year is just cruising. You have this campaign to launch, and then you have your newsletter and your blog posts and your social campaigns and your ads, and like all of it just got tied together, and it's been incredible. Yeah. It's been
this is fabulous. And as someone who currently works at an agency, I just want to like put a plug in, like for entrepreneurs who have been burned by agencies, like what Vanessa is describing is what your agency should be doing for you. And if they're not doing that with you and helping you create that plan so that you can start putting your business on autopilot, then you should fire them immediately.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that you say that, Katie, because that's so valid. And there's amazing agencies out there. Incredible. Absolutely. And I love that you say that up front, because I think there needs to be like a longer conversation before you start working together. And I don't think anybody ever encouraged us to do that. So I kind of put all this blind faith. And so absolutely the onus is also on me for, kind of assuming they're going to just know what we want and they're going to be able to deliver all this stuff when I myself wasn't doing my due diligence to offer them everything that they needed to do the job as well. I'm also not trying to place just total blame, but yeah, you need to learn how to build that relationship properly. And so that's super important. But yeah, if they're, I'm just kidding.
If they're not doing that, then like, goodbye, like get out. Like anyone can like do your, I don't know, they can like write some social copy, but if it's not part of like a grander strategy, then they're not really adding a service to you. But okay, to jump back, because I'm jumping all over the place because there's so much value and there's only so much time in this podcast, is when you and I first met, it was here in Ottawa and it was at the Corliss reception. I think it was like an evening reception or something. And you started talking to me about how you created what you've already described them a little bit, these little caddies, these compostable caddies. But how do you go into, like, obviously product development is a very big thing for you and Jack59. So how does it look like to go into something that needs to be eco-friendly, but also like aesthetically pleasing? Like you're not going to give people their shampoo bar in a brown paper bag. What does that look like? And how do you kind of balance? Because obviously being in wellness and hair care, there's like a level of sophistication and polish that is looked for too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I may have lucked out a little bit on this one. So we started selling the shampoo bars, and then it came very quickly that you need something to put them in. Not necessarily in your shower, but a lot of people were traveling with them. And the real go-to was a tin, right? The other companies had a tin. So we were like, oh, we're going to create this tin because I don't know. It seemed like the logical answer. So we created this. And I worked with this company and they swore up and down, like, they're not going to rust, they're going to be fabulous. And I bypassed the whole trial because it was brand new. I think it was only a year into business. And I just put this blind faith in them. Oh, they've created these tins for years. They know exactly what they're talking about. And we got like 5,000 of these tins. And people started emailing and like they couldn't even take their shampoo bar out of it because it rusted closed. Oh, it was an absolute nightmare. And the waste, it was horrifying. I didn't know what to tell people. So I took a step back and I was like, okay, this is not working. I need to come up with something. So I started just drawing, like, what do we need? It needs to be something that holds the bar, stands covered so it protects it from water damage. And I kind of had all these ideas, and there was one on the market from another brand, but it was sort of like very plain and the concept wasn't quite what I wanted. So I kept doing all this stuff, and I know it's going to sound crazy because I was working on it so much. I actually dreamed of what it was that I wanted it to look like. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I woke up and like I kind of sketched it all out. And I started looking for somebody that could bring it to life. And it so happened that here in Edmonton is this really cool old hippie guy who brought it upon himself bring in these fully compostable resins. So his facility was a regular injection molding facility that they do obviously a lot of plastic things because that's the world that he was in, but he himself was feeling that he needed this change. And because he was an engineer, he was reaching out to other companies that were creating these resins, and he was bringing them in and testing them. And literally the first person that I reached out to was him. So he came to my shop, and I mean, he just reminded me so much of my dad because he was just like talking about the water waste and we can do this better. And he looked at my drawing and he was like, oh, it looks like a little composter. So if nobody's ever seen our shower container, it's kind of like a round with little legs, and it looked like a home composter. So he was so excited because he hadn't actually fully released a product besides something industrial. So this was going to be, like a consumer good. So he did up the model and it was like, oh my gosh, exactly. He definitely tweaked it for us. So there's some little ridges, some little ribbing that the bar doesn't sit on the bar. so it can drain better, the drainage and whatnot. The lid actually doubles as a base, so you can put it on the bottom and it looks like this little stand. So when he made me the first prototype, oh my goodness, I was over the moon, because even though I had formulated a lot of products, I mean, I didn't create the shampoo bar. I didn't create the idea of it. I just fell in love with the concept, and we needed one that actually worked. So this was something that I actually created. It was tangible. We put it out in the world, and it was this incredible journey. So from there, a lot of people were like, I love it. It's incredible. It works well, but it's too big to travel with. And not everybody, because I still travel with the big one. But I was like, fair enough. Like, that's a valid thing that people are going to want. So I went back to him and I said, listen, we got people that want something cutesy, and all I can think about is like a matchbox. And so he really was the genius in the design of it. So he did the matchbox style, but he rounded off one end so it looks very beautiful. And then the same idea with the draining and the ridges on the bottom that are circular. It looks very beautiful. You can take the lid and put it underneath and display it. Yeah, so the journey was, for me, I mean, sometimes I don't really like, I have sort of a spiritual belief of like maybe more sort of the indigenous view of a creator. And so I'm not really sure where I fall on like, like it happened for a reason, or you met this person you're like for a reason. But I do believe what you put energy into comes back to you. And I think that was sort of why our paths were put together. And I can't thank him enough for being a piece of this journey. And part of the journey is, because this is our new coloring, a little tidbit, is we're actually using a sage colored shower container. So yeah, I know, right? I love the look because it's more natural. So far, we've had a black one, a pink one for cancer awareness that was a limited edition, and also a hemp one that was a limited edition that we worked with a company just outside of Edmonton to use their waste hemp into the product. It had a little bit of structural issues, so we discontinued it, although I'd still absolutely love it. We'll match our look a little better, and we have lots of people who are like, we want a sage one, sage colored.
I want a sage colored one. I'm coming to the shop. I will come to the shop. You'll know when I've landed in Edmonton, because it will be my first stop once I'm there. That is, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm like kind of just in awe of this journey and like how incredible, and, think compostable resins, like never in a million years would I have thought that is even on the scale of possible, and that you've stumbled across someone in your own backyard.
So I view competitors a little bit differently than other people do, I think, in general. Like, I can't speak for everybody. I don't know what I'm saying, but I have had a hard time with competitors because I am under the viewpoint that we're stronger together. Even if it was a direct company that made shampoo and conditioner bars, I would still love to collaborate with you, because imagine if we could tell each other our failures and learn from each other. Like, there's so much value in that. So throughout our journey, this compostable resin has been a great talking point with other entrepreneurs, other CEOs looking to create a compostable product for them. And I am more than willing to share him, as long as he still has time to make ours.
Yeah, you're first. You're numero uno, of course. Right? It's hard. I love that.
My viewpoint is the more compostable products that we have on the market, the better. So even if somebody is in competition with us, I would be more than willing to share that, because I think that's beautiful. That should be all of our goals. Money is one thing, and the world of the earth and, who we are and what we're leaving behind to our future generations is a whole other thing. So that's really important to me.
Totally. Oh, I love that. And what a beautiful note to end this amazing interview with on. But before you go, I do have some rapid fire questions, which I love because it really gets to the heart of who Vanessa is. Are you ready?
Oh, sure.
They're very easy.
Okay.
They're very easy. Are you coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yes. Amen.
I do like tea, but not on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I'm sick. I'll have a mint tea, but like every other time, it's like I must have caffeine directly. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Most of my life, I would have said a night owl, but now I'm an early bird. There's something beautiful about the peace in the morning. You know, the new day starting, new ideas, taking a moment to, not be on your phone. Yeah, there's something beautiful about that.
Oh, I love that. How do you decompress after a work day?
I don't know that I get a lot of that. My work days are pretty much, if I'm awake, I'm working, but I am obsessed with processing food. So we are like a hunter-gatherer type family. So we do process a lot of our own foods, everything from like moose, fish, wild chickens. My parents have a huge garden, so all of the potatoes, carrots, everything that we process over to keep over the winter. A lot of different kind of berries we pick. We also harvest wild berries. I purchased a chunk of land in northern Alberta right beside my parents. So like cranberries, choke cherries, which means you get to do jams and pies and all this crazy stuff. So I'm a big batch cooker. I'm also, like I said, neurodivergent. So if I make one lasagna, I have to make 12 in the freezer.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I have fun. Like I have a pressure canner. I have a dehydrator in my kitchen and I'm always tinkering. That's probably what keeps me chill, having fun at home.
That is so cool. We have so much more to talk about offline because we are moving away from our beautiful hobby farm, but we will have lots to discuss. What is your go-to comfort food? It sounds like maybe it's 12 lasagnas, but maybe not.
Oh, I am a food lover. Our whole family, our lives, everything revolves around food. My favorite food is probably like a birria quesadilla, where you get to dip it, like any kind of taco.
And what is your current brand obsession right now?
Brand obsession. You're gonna not maybe believe this, but I don't think I have one at the moment. Not that I never do. So my daughter, who just turned 16, is very, very anti-brand. So she is super conscious about like she would never wear, I mean, she'll wear a Jack59 hoodie. Let's get real. But she doesn't want any brands on her clothing.
Okay.
She would prefer to thrift. So along with that, she doesn't wear makeup, no hair products. So we get very, very kind of organic in general with what we purchase. I'm kind of on a mission to eliminate a lot of products in my life. I'm also not like big on body products and whatnot.
Well, then there's none. You don't need to have an answer there. That kind of answered it.
Yeah. We'll keep
And that's cool. I like that. Well, how can people find you, Vanessa, if they want to learn more about you or Jack59?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our website is probably the best place. There's blog posts and you can sign up for our emails and get a lot more information on us, some personal stuff. We got newsletters. Please follow us on social media, Jack59 Inc., TikTok, Instagram. We are in about 500 stores across Canada. So we have a lot of local stores on our website. There is a little store locator tab at the very bottom. Click on that. You can put in a location or a postal code, and it'll show you the local stores that are in your area.
Well, there you go. I love it. Amazing. Well, thanks so much. I love it. Thank you, Vanessa.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Katie. Thank you. You made this very easy. I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Talking Purpose. My hope is that today's episode gave you the tools and the inspiration to lead with even more intention. If you enjoyed the episode, please show your support by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It's the best way to help us grow this community of changemakers. If you have a question for our guest or a topic you want us to dive into next, drop a comment below. I read every single one. I'm Katie Boothby-Kung. Thanks for joining.